Hello and welcome to the Doctors Who podcast. Tonight we're covering chapters 11 and 12 of The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Last time, the Dragkhar appeared from above, causing the group to flee toward Taren Ferry. Moraine uses the power to cast a large blanket of fog to shield their passing, and when they arrive at the ferry, they convince the ferryman to take them across in the middle of the night. Now, as they cross the river, Moraine extends the fog down to the south and up to the north, confusing the Dragkhar and allowing them to escape. Lan finds shelter for the evening, and Moraine takes Egwene into the shelter to speak. After the horses are taken care of, the rest of the group come into the shelter only to find that Moraine tells Egwene she has the potential to become an Aes Sedai. Rand is understandably upset given his predilection to the Aes Sedai. We will talk about all of this and more right after this. Okay, hello and welcome again to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris.
I'm Chip.
And I'm Brian.
Okay, so chapters 11 and 12. Chip, you want to talk through the high points for us?
Sure, I'll give you my hot take. So chapter 11 and 12, there's a lot of action in these two chapters. There's a little bit of exposition. Jordan hasn't quite left the parallels with Lord of the Rings behind just yet. Bella really does remind me of Bill the Pony, and then we got Taren Ferry, which kind of reminds me of Buckleberry Ferry. But he does something different with Taren Ferry, where at the end of, once they make it across, Moraine destroys the ferry and really eliminates any way for the Trollocs and the Midral, and I guess the Dragkhar can fly over, but the rest of them aren't able to pursue them immediately. So, that's cool. But kind of going back to Bella, the thing that really strikes me here is she's all of a sudden has this newfound endurance, and maybe she's already always had it, but you kind of get these passages where Rand's kind of silently urging her on, and they talk about his skin prickling, and that's kind of a sign that, I don't want to spoil anything later, but that he's maybe using the one power without thinking about it, or it's a subconscious use of the one power. So that's something I'd like to touch on later. And then we also get this whole Moraine Egwene thing where Moraine's starting to teach Egwene, and that she has this innate ability to use the one power. Rand's not happy about it, but then they talk about male channelers and how if they have the one power, they'll be gentled. And Tom really gets angry when he hears about the Red Aja and the gentling of male channelers. So that's something else that lends some background to Tom that it will be fun to explore as we go further into this.
All right.
I kind of equated this to like a long journey that, we're still in this Tolkien realm. And actually, Chip, you made me think of it here, but Bella almost has I almost wondered if there's some sort of Shadowfax equivalent, or of course, there is, horses are a pretty common tool in a lot of this writing, but when you leave the front door to go on a long journey, you're not going to encounter adventure 10 minutes after you leave. I kind of got this sense all right, they're going to travel a little ways, kind of rest. They're going to whine maybe a little bit. They're going to travel. It actually felt like a regular car trip. Where they're going, and now they're kind of just in the doldrums of travel, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. It really felt like, even though there was action in there, it was spaced out enough within these two chapters. It felt like there was these natural valleys of activity, which was great. I was really confused with how Egwene was making Rand react. It didn't really jive with me. He hasn't really wanted her along, but it just seems kind of like this weird dynamic where he likes her, but he doesn't want her with him, and just a lot of give and take. And I'm kind of interested to see where that relationship goes.
So I do I did draw the same parallels with Buckleberry Ferry and Taren Ferry. But I think what I liked is that, to Chip's point, there were some things with Bella that kind of foreshadow some things to come, and you get to see some more of kind of like Moraine and Lan more in their natural element. In the Two Rivers, they were just pretending to be visiting nobles and things like that, so you really didn't get a sense of them. But here you get to see, Moraine is, what she's capable of with the fog, and even like, using the power to rejuvenate the horses, and you get to see Lan kind of like leading and shepherding the group. And it was either the last episode or the one before, I think I drew a connection between him and Aragorn, and that kind of shines through here, I think. So this is a good set of chapters to just kind of build some of the story and some of the tension, not only with what's happening in the plot, but also kind of between the characters too. So really enjoyed that. Chip, you said something that I was going to come back and comment on, but it's gone. I lost it.
I don't remember, but speaking of Moraine and kind of all these things she's doing, do we have any sense of what the extent of her powers really are? Because I mean, she's drawing this fog, she's revitalizing the horses, revitalizing, the members of the party. She's doing all these different things. She sinks the ferry, but and Lan makes a comment that she's not able to rejuvenate herself. That she is fatigued, but she must be a pretty strong user of the one power. So
yeah.
I'm trying to remember if it's in this section, and you guys can give me a quick nod if not. But it's not in the section. Oh, okay. They drew a really good comparison with the one power to a water wheel, where it's on the river, and it's not the source itself, but like it seems like it's like this power is more like the force, where it's a tool where you can use it, up to a certain point, but then your limits run out eventually.
Well, it kind of depends on the user, isn't it? That
right.
You're not going to diminish the one power, but some people can draw more of it than others. And Moraine does have the Angreal that we knew about, I guess, when she was healing Tam. But
that's a good point. Yeah, because that obviously bolsters her ability. But
and it makes you think too, because when they talk about, I think this might be in a future chapter, but they talk about kind of about the 5 parts of the one power, that the earth, wind, and she's doing a lot with water here.
The interesting thing, as I'm going back and I'm reading this again, these 2 chapters, because like since the Trolloc attack, there really hasn't been like a lot that's happened, and this could have easily turned into a 4-chapter excursion through the wilderness or things like that. But it seems like Jordan sped through the parts that weren't important, which I appreciate, because this is a long book anyway, and there's a lot of travel. Spoilers, Brian. But I appreciate going back and reading again that he was like, you know what? We don't need to follow step by step. We can just kind of fast forward through the night. And he did the same thing when Rand was hauling Tam to Emond's Field after the Trolloc attack too. So I'm appreciating that aspect of it, that we don't have to step through every footstep they do. And then go, Brian.
I did end up pulling a map up. I don't know if that's spoilers or not, but I thought the map was really helpful, because it's like they keep talking about wanting to be on the road to Tarvalin. How far is Tarvalin? And so I had to pull up a map, and it was a lot further than I thought they were going to have to go. I mean, they really kind of came from the foothills of the mountains in Eamon's Field, all the way through some other towns, but it looked like it was a ways out there.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at the map now. Oh, ooh, I'm hitting my mic with my headset. So I see Eamon's Field. I see Barrelon. Did they go through Andor?
They go through Camelin, don't they? Because they end up on the Camelin Road at some point.
There it is.
Later.
Okay, it's up there. Yeah.
But I know at this point they said that in the forest where they end up taking cover after the ferry, they said they can take the road straight on to Barrelon, which that doesn't look very far on the map. But then, of course, everyone from Eamon's Field are like, "Oh man, this is way farther. Wait,
And I don't think it was necessarily in these chapters, but I think the trip from Eamon's Field to Barrelon took a week, riding bat out of hell.
I thought I read 6 days, or roughly a week.
So if that gives you an idea, but yeah, it seems like Barrelon might be the kind of like the springboard where we finally get out of this Tolkien comparison and into something that is its own.
We'll probably talk about that next time.
Yeah.
Though.
Yes.
Because they don't get there on these chapters.
But this almost feels like this is this section of the book almost winding down before the next section ramps up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
One.
Well, and go ahead.
I hear thundering above me. Did you hear that?
Oh man, that's not a good sign. Yeah.
It wasn't the gallop of horses, was it?
No. Kind of sounded like it. Sounded like a trolley.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is where I work during the day, and the boys' bedroom is here, and the boys' toy room is there, so there's a lot of noise. Anyway, digressing. What I was going to say is the ferry, I thought some interesting things happened there, because, when they got on the ferry, Lan was like, "Oh, show your weapons," and because he didn't trust the ferryman, even though they promised a bunch of gold. But it's interesting how Lan didn't trust the ferryman and his crew at all, and Rand was like, "You don't trust him?" And Lan came back with, I've heard how you talk about people from here. It's like you shake a hand and you count your fingers afterwards, type thing. So, but I mean, it's just some of those.
That was such a cool
and I really like these early interactions between Rand and Lan, because they're great for exposition. I mean, that's how we kind of learned about the what the heron on the blade meant, and that's where he talked about the Halfman and the Myrddraal and things like that. So it's fun. I mean, Lan is probably one of my favorite characters in this series. So
I think what Jordan does a good job is dropping those little bits of exposition in, but it's still part of the overall story. So as Rand's learning about stuff, we're learning about it too, So it isn't just somebody reciting a bunch of information that's telling us, oh, this is all the background information we need to know. It's kind of spliced
like
in these
Moraine
different scenes
did
where
with
it's like,
Manetheren.
oh, there's a nugget there. That seems like it might be important to know, but there's a lot of good pieces of that he's done in these chapters, and all of the books, really.
But no, I think like the last part of these chapters though is really kind of like that twist that I don't know, maybe you saw it coming. Brian, did you see it coming? The Egwene revelation. Egwene revelation.
I mean, So this is where, again, not having read through these before, I wondered if, she was selected to become potentially the town's wisdom
Mhm.
eventually, and I didn't know how that necessarily compared with the Aes Sedai or the One True Power, or I didn't know how that fit in. So I figured there was something different about
Yeah.
her, but I really didn't know what. And so this was kind of a like, okay, I'm not terribly surprised.
It's like,
Like this
oh,
fits
okay,
in
this makes
well.
sense now. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like okay, I could see this being a next
Okay.
logical progression.
And I don't think
But
it's spoilery to say that as the books go on, there's a revelation that there's a lot of women out there that are able to channel, but don't even realize it, that they do. They have like certain innate skills and abilities that they're really good at, but don't realize that they're good at it because they're able to channel the one power. But, so a lot of these small towns and stuff have, people that are able to, but don't realize it. So I thought it fit well with Egwene's revelation.
Rand's reaction to that, uh, I don't know. It's like the. I want to figure out how I want to say this. The like just like the narrow view is like, oh, Aes Sedai are bad, even though this one saved my father from certain
I had no
death.
problem. Yeah,
Now all of a
Mhm.
sudden,
I had no problem asking her to
yeah.
help.
So I mean, we fall back on this mentality that Jordan established of this village and what they think of Aes Sedai and the power and all this stuff, and we just I don't know. I don't think ham-fisted is the right word, but it just feels like it's being almost shoved down your throat.
Hmm.
well, I think for me when I read this, I thought this sounds like someone who doesn't know exactly why he's here or where he's going or why he's going there. Like he's missing some sort of identity.
Okay.
And then here you have this woman who he kind of liked from town decide to be a tag along, and now she has a purpose and he still doesn't. Like I think for him, there's a lot of jealousy. Like who am I? And this other person who really wasn't even intended to go on this journey is now suddenly a lot more important.
Yeah,
Sure.
because they make her. I thought it was pretty clear early on that it's the three boys that are the important ones that they need to get out,
Hmm.
or the Trollocs are going to come back. But then Egwene shows up, and and Moraine must have known
Yeah.
at that time too that there was something about her that yeah, she can come. Because Land didn't want her to come, the guys didn't want her to come. I don't know that Tom cared so much, but it was just Moraine's
Well,
basically
and
like,
and
no, you can come.
here's my
Yeah.
thought, because like the interact like that sort of an interaction just is it I find it grating on me now, and I wonder if that's because I've read this so many times that I'm like, oh geez, this again.
Uh,
So that
yep.
might be it. So,
Hmm.
but I appreciate the fresh perspective, because maybe I'm being jaded and cynical.
No, not
Okay.
not completely. But I mean, there are elements of this that drag, and some of the relationships are. But there are a couple of really good
Yeah.
relationships in it too. So it's not all of them that are written that way. And I also felt like they it's almost like they try to force Matt, or Jordan kind of forces Rand and Egwene together here, but then they both kind of grow apart
Oh
in
great.
different
You
ways.
spoiled it for Brian.
Spoiler. They well, Brian just said she's got a purpose and she's got a path now, and Rand will
Yeah.
find his at some point.
We
In
think.
theory.
Well,
Well,
I
you guys
hope.
might know. I don't know. I know nothing.
Over the course of 14 books, he figures some things out.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time we're going to be covering chapters 13 and 14. Um, these are there's more that happens here, so I anticipate the discussion might be a little longer. But please, we invite you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. That will let you know when we drop new content. Our episodes come online Thursday afternoon/evening, depending on your time zone, so you know when to expect those. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Please use the comment section. Tell us what you did like, what you didn't like, what we got wrong. We will be back next week, chapters 13 and 14. We hope you will join us. And until then,
How long